Your power bill is not like most pieces of mail. Most pieces of mail you can ignore for a week without consequence. The bill has a way of sitting on the bench with the fate energy of a summons. You open it, you look at the number, and then, if you are like a lot of people, you do the arithmetic of mild despair, adding up how many dishwasher cycles that represents, and wondering if they know about the cycle you accidentally ran empty last Tuesday. But here is a question worth asking before you start counting appliances. How is that number actually calculated? For most of Australian electricity history, the answer was very simple. You used some kilowatt hours, they counted the kilowatt hours, they multiplied by your rate, and they sent you the bill. A bloke from the network wandered out every 3 months, peered at the spinning disc in your meter box, wrote down the number, and that was that. Energy accounting had all the drama of reading a gas gauge. A smart meter does something quite different. It measures your consumption in 30-minute intervals, around the clock, every single day. That is 48 separate readings per day, roughly 1,400 per month, transmitted in real time to your retailer over the mobile network. By the time your quarter ends, your energy company has a detailed portrait of your household. When you wake up, when you cook, when you cool the house, when you go to sleep. The Australian Energy Market Commission finalised the rules to accelerate the national rollout of smart meters in November 2024. The final tranche of those rules commenced on the 1st of July this year. The target is a smart meter in every home connected to the national electricity market by the 30th of November 2030. More than 56% of meters are already remotely readable. Victoria ran a statewide rollout years earlier and now sits at 99%. Queensland, New South Wales, and South Australia are catching up fast. The installation is free when your retailer contacts you first. You get a notice, a technician arrives, the old spinning disc meter comes out, the new one goes in. It takes about half an hour. The notice does not include a form for opting out. Here is where it gets interesting. The smart meter is, in itself, a neutral device. It is a recorder. What matters is what your retailer does with the data once they have it, and specifically, what kind of tariff they put you on once it is installed. Under a flat-rate electricity plan, a kilowatt hour is a kilowatt hour whether you use it at noon or 2 in the morning. The oven at 6 in the evening costs the same as the oven running overnight. Simple, arguably too simple for some commercial tastes. Smart meters make a different kind of tariff possible: time of use pricing. Under a time of use plan, electricity costs more during peak periods, typically weekday evenings, when every household in a suburb is simultaneously opening the fridge, switching on the air conditioner, and wondering if tonight is finally the night they cook something ambitious. The peak rate can be substantially higher than the off-peak rate. The logic is that the grid is under greater strain in those windows, and if you use it then, you pay more. And then there is demand pricing, which is the structure that tends to surprise people most when they first see it on their bill. Demand pricing does not care about when you use power. It charges you based on the maximum amount of electricity you consume in any single 30-minute block during your entire billing cycle. Use the oven, the dishwasher, and the air conditioning simultaneously on one hot Tuesday evening. Do it just once, and that peak usage level sets the charge applied to your entire month. The 30 minutes become the number the whole bill is built around. Consumer groups raise concerns with the AEMC throughout the rulemaking process about retailers applying new tariff structures to customers immediately after smart meter installation. The AEMC's final determination added consumer safeguards in direct response to those concerns. Those safeguards include what is called a 2-year tariff protection. From the 1st of December 2025, if a smart meter is installed under the accelerated rollout, your retailer cannot move you onto a new tariff type without your written consent for the first 2 years. You cannot be shifted from a flat rate to time of use or demand pricing without agreeing to it. The problem is that protection applies only to meters installed from December 2025 onward. The more than half of national electricity market customers whose meters were already remotely readable before that date, before the safeguard existed, had no equivalent protection in place. The consumer advocacy group Choice noted that customers in that group could be, and in documented cases were, blindsided by unexpected new charges on their bills. Choice asked the AEMC whether those affected customers would be eligible for compensation. The regulator did not respond to that question. So who actually benefits from the mandatory national rollout of smart meters? Follow the money. The original rule change request was lodged with the AEMC in September 2023. The organisations that filed it were IntelliHub, SA Power Networks, and Alinta Energy. IntelliHub is Australia's largest independent metering coordinator. Under the national electricity rules, every smart meter in the national electricity market must be managed by a licensed metering coordinator who collects a fee for that service from your retailer, a fee that flows through to the components that make up your bill. IntelliHub reports over 2.5 million meters under management and holds contracts with all major Australian energy retailers. A mandatory national rollout of smart meters to every remaining home in the country is, from the perspective of a metering coordinator, a mandated expansion of a revenue base. IntelliHub filed the rule change request. The AEMC accepted it. What they don't tell you is that the companies who most actively pushed for this reform are precisely the companies who collect ongoing fees from it. Network businesses, the poles and wires companies that own the infrastructure into your home, are the second significant beneficiary. 30-minute interval data across the whole grid lets them identify and manage demand spikes before those spikes force expensive infrastructure upgrades. Deferred upgrades translate into better-looking network cost submissions to the regulator, which flows into the calculation of what the network is permitted to earn. Retailers gain granular data that enables the design of more sophisticated tariff products. Sophisticated, in this context, tends to mean products that are more difficult to compare across retailers and that extract more revenue from customers who do not actively manage their usage patterns. The net benefit to consumers exists, in theory. If you shift your usage out of peak windows, run the dishwasher at midnight, charge the car at 3 in the morning, delay dinner until after the peak period ends, you can reduce your bill under a time of use structure. But the ability to shift usage requires flexibility that not every household has. Renters without control over their hot water system, families with young children, people who work evening shifts, they face the same tariff structures without the lifestyle conditions that make those structures rewarding. In our reading, the default position in a system like this should be the safest option for those least able to engage with it. Instead, the default is a smart meter, and the consumer's only protection is a 2-year window before their tariff can change. A simpler structural fix would be a permanently available flat-rate default tariff for any customer who does not actively opt into something different. Whether that protection survives beyond the current safeguard window is the live question as the rollout accelerates toward 2030. Here is what is actually useful to understand. If your smart meter was installed from the 1st of December 2025 onward, you have a 2-year period during which your retailer cannot move you to a new tariff type without your written consent. That protection is real and enforceable through the Australian Energy Regulator. If your meter went in before that date, that protection does not apply. It is worth checking your bill to confirm what tariff type you are currently on and whether anything changed after the meter was installed. The Australian Energy Regulator has a bill comparator tool on its website that lets you test whether a flat rate or time of use plan would be cheaper based on your actual usage. If you have solar, or if you are thinking about an electric vehicle, the numbers shift again. That is a conversation worth having with a registered energy broker, not a YouTube channel. What is clear is that the device now sitting in your meter box is not simply a more accurate version of the old one. It is a data collection node in a commercial system designed by the energy industry, filed with the regulator by the companies who benefit from it, and rolled out into homes across the country according to rules that came into full effect this month. The disk stopped spinning. Something considerably more interesting took its place. What happened to your bill after your smart meter went in? Drop a comment below. We read all of them, and the patterns in what people report tend to shape what we cover next.